we should get started.
It's being transcribed too, right?
Recording is in progress.
Okay. All right, this is special meeting of the Town of Brookhaven Industrial Development Agency. It's Thursday, December 16th. It is now 8:04. A quorum is present. Lisa?
Today's meeting has been convened in accordance with Chapter 417 of the laws of 2021, effective September 2nd, 2021 through January 15th, 2022, permitting local governments to hold public meetings by telephone and video conference.
Do you want to go in executive session first or not?
We have there's representatives from team.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so the first item, sorry, the first item on the agenda is a resolution for T-Mina Supply. I think there's some guests that maybe raise your hand if you want to have you join if you have anything that you want to add to this, but while they decide, basically, T-Mina Supply is the project down at the North Service Road of the LIE and Old Medford Avenue. It's just actually right down the street from Town Hall. Joss, I see Gary is in the waiting room also. Thank you. And the real estate holding entity is staying the same and the operating company is changing. Howard, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, just very briefly, they're doing some complex reorganizations in order to sell the company. The principals, Mr. Mina, who's been running it, it will continue to be involved and continue to run it. So from the agency's viewpoint, even though it's being acquired, the company effectively, same people will still be there. They'll be still guaranteeing us the employment, et cetera. So from that perspective, it won't change. Essentially, it's a change of ownership. And as a consequence, they need to separate the responsibilities of the two companies, which is very common in acquisitions of this kind. The new company does not want to be responsible for the old company's responsibilities. Nevertheless, they will be responsible to us for the normal things that we expect occupants of our facilities to be responsible to us for. Insurance, environmental, things of that kind. Employment, they're going to continue to do, et cetera. So I'm comfortable.
Nothing's really changed on our end, correct?
Correct. We'll still see everything the same way. It's just different people will be behind it.
Okay.
Any other questions? Counsel for the company's on the phone as well. We're on the call. Howard, I think, explained it very well. If you read the letter, it's a complicated transaction, but it, as Frank just said, basically, it's the same as it relates to our project. So no questions. I'll take a motion.
Don't move.
Thank you, Anne Marie. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. On the vote, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Rocky,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Scheit,
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes, the motion passes.
Thank you. I am going to,
Okay.
thank you, Kathy. I am going to suggest that we go into executive session to discuss pending lawsuits. I think we need a motion to go into executive
Motion
session.
to go in executive session for litigation.
Thank you. Second.
Second, Felix Grucci.
The
Before
vote.
you leave, sorry.
Go ahead, Howard.
Before you leave, go into executive session. Am I correct that some of this I will be on and then I'll get off for the rest of it?
Yes, Howard, that's
Okay.
correct. I need you in there for
Yeah.
part of it. Josh just sent the Zoom link. So if you would come out of this and go into the next one. Just leave this open.
And on the vote for the resolution, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Rocky,
Yes.
Mr. Scheit,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter.
Yes.
Braun votes yes, motion carried.
Okay,
Is Josh sending a new link?
she just sent it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
See you soon.
to come out of executive session?
So moved, Gary Polakowski.
Second,
Second, Felix Grouchy.
That was
Sorry,
a
Phil.
motion, that was a motion to come out of executive session. I just don't know if the recording started in time to catch that.
all right, on the vote, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Pavraki. Yeah, I see your thumbs up. Mr.
Lenore
Pol-
has no mic.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Scheit. She's not with us at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes. We are out of executive session. There are two resolutions that we need to consider. One to set a public hearing for the Ronk Hub project, which will be on January 10th at 10 in the morning. May I have a resolution?
So moved, Gary Polakowski.
Second? Is there a second?
Second, Felix Grouchy.
Thank you. On the vote, Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Ms. Pavraki, Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Ron votes yes, that is passed. And the second resolution is to initiate termination of the IDA's benefits for Macedo Construction Incorporated.
Yes.
Mr. Trotter, is there a second?
Second, Marty Callahan.
Thank you.
Howard, do we need anything else in that statement?
Sorry, I missed that. I just got an email from one of the attorneys and I was reading it. I apologize.
So we have we have a resolution in front of the board to initiate termination for Macedo Construction, Inc. Do we need to include clawbacks? Do we need to expand on it at all?
And Mazo holding the project.
Okay,
Yes, and to assert our clawback rights and to take such actions as may be necessary to do so.
and so Howard added on Maso Holding Corp.
Yes, that's the real estate entity.
Yes.
The
Okay.
other one
So
is the
just,
operating company.
redo the motion as amended, Frank, by Howard.
To include what Howard just said.
Motion to the amendment.
Thank you. And the second was?
Marty Callahan.
Thank you. Okay, on the vote, Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Ms. Pavraki,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Ron votes yes, that motion is carried as well. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is an amended application, from Scalamander Cove. It was included in your packets. Just to remind everybody, this is a roughly 13-acre project in Middle Island. It's north of 25 and east of Rocky Point Road, I believe. They are dedicating some of those 13 acres, and about roughly 6.5 is proposed to be developed into 96 residential units. They've agreed to our 10% affordable, 10% workforce requirement. They plan to have 72 two-bedroom apartments and 24 one-bedroom apartments. The cost of the project has gone up since we received an application in 2020. So now it's roughly a $27.4 million project. They're planning on creating 6 jobs. They've requested mortgage recording tax exemption, sales tax exemption, and a 15-year pilot. Keep in mind, in a project like this, we send the pilot analysis to a third party to come up with a pilot for that. So although they've requested a 15-year pilot, we'll see what fleshes out as the third party does the analysis. So does anyone have any questions?
Lisa, under the revised UTEP, because this is still market rate, the 15 years would not be the norm, correct?
I think
I thought we did 7 to 10 on market rate.
you might be right, because this doesn't have, you're right, Bill. This doesn't have it's not a downtown, it's not, it doesn't fit any of those caveats.
No. So
I'll make sure that the third party, I assume we're going to use Camoin, that they are aware. I always send them the section of our UTEP that has to do with it, so they have that.
But yeah, a 15-year pilot would be a deviation,
Okay,
and probably not one we want to start. This would be one of the first ones that would be a housing like this that would, be out of the box deviation.
So it should be 20, is that
No, 7 to 10.
7 to 10? Oh,
That's the new U-Town, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, is it new still?
Well, I mean, since this guy came and saw it in 19.
We did it, we finalized it back in the summer of 2021. It was June of 2021.
I thought it was 2020 the last time we did it. Okay.
So we need a
We started
resolution.
talking about it. It might have been 2020. I can't remember now when we actually finalized it.
We need a resolution to accept the amended application for Scalamander Cove. Don't everybody
So
jump
moved.
at once. Thank you.
So
Mike.
moved, Marty Callahan.
Is there a second?
Oh, and to set the public hearing.
I'll
So
second
moved.
it. On the vote, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Ms. Paprocki,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Trotter,
yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes, the motion is carried.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is WHTB Glass. We received a correspondence that they are looking for your consent to a $3 million loan with East West Bank. Is this, Howard, is this yours or Bill?
No, I think it's Bill's.
Mike.
Bill, did you
Yeah.
have anything you wanted to add?
No, they're just doing a refinancing.
Okay.
So they're just looking for consent. They're not asking for any new benefits.
Motion?
Please,
Motion,
So moved.
second. Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Paprocki,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter,
yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes, motion passes.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is 4L. Just want to let you know that it came to our attention that North Shore, one of their subtenants, North Shore Sprinkler Supply, was purchased by another entity, and they actually didn't come to us in a timely fashion, but from what I understand, it happened kind of quickly. They have subsequently started to get all the documents together to get the subtenant application to this board. So
So are they in violation of anything?
yes,
Okay, so what actions or potential actions are possible? Howard?
Howard?
With
So,
Bill?
well, we've had, unfortunately, we've had this situation more than once on many projects where they come after the fact and ask for approval because they didn't realize they were supposed to come to us in advance.
Oh,
The lawyer who represented the seller, and I understand the principal's still there, working there. It's not like they're not. And it was a large company that bought them, but the lawyer who's representing the seller, the subtenant seller, was very apologetic to his credit. And he said, we didn't realize it, we should have. And by the same token, Jones should have realized it too. They should never have approved the transfer of the lease, the assignment of the lease. They've been apologetic as well, and their lawyer kind of fell on the sword and apologized because he said it's really his fault that he missed that. He didn't realize it. So in the past, you have, to my knowledge, you've said, okay, if they've been good citizens in general, you'll allow them accommodation to retroactively approve the transaction, let them apply to us, let them enter into a new TACA with us and pay our fees, et cetera, and you've done it. And if I suspect that if they were not good citizens and they weren't a good project, you might take a different approach.
you said this happened before?
My recollection has happened a couple of times.
not with this project.
Not with this project.
Oh, that's
Just in
right.
general, it has, my recollection is it's happened, and this is just my personal recollection. Lisa would probably would know better than I would. Bill would probably know better than I would. But I can think of a couple of projects I recall sitting in these meetings and hearing that they had leased the properties, they leased the property to somebody, and after the fact were coming to us. I remember a couple of instances.
Howard, you're in touch with their attorney?
Yes,
We have a meeting, I think, January 12th. Just make sure they get everything to us by that date.
yes. We
Okay,
need a tenant agency application,
Yes.
a sublease application, so we know who we're dealing with and what they are about, and then we get comfortable. I'm not anticipating a problem based on the conversations I had. It doesn't sound like it's a problem. We're very pointedly, we kept saying, Howard, it's a much larger company. Does the exact same thing we do. They acquired us, which, that's not unusual, so.
So I don't think we need a resolution. That's just an FYI, just so that you're aware. The next item on the agenda is UI Digital. They are refinancing. There's no new money and they're merely looking for a consent. Howard, is there anything?
Yeah, I haven't spoken to the bank attorney yet, so I don't know how it's being structured exactly. It may be that we need not even sign anything other than a subordination, but because we're not extending any mortgage recording benefits to them. So, but they may do it that way. If we have to join in it, it'll be fine. I mean, from my perspective, it'll be what we normally do with the usual disclaimers in our documentation. But it'll be one of those two ways, most likely.
questions?
Do we need, I think we need a
Well-
consensus on the consent.
Do
We
we,
need I think we need a motion, don't we?
is
Yeah.
it the same amount, Howard? Do we know what the amount?
Essentially the same amount. They're not taking, the lawyer pointed out that they're not taking any new money out. I don't know that that's totally accurate. Very often it's a few dollars difference. Or maybe they take a little bit more out just to cover expenses. But it's not as if they're taking out $500,000 and putting it in their pocket.
All right, then we should have a resolution just to the refinancing then. Somebody step up.
Motion,
Thank you, Frank. Second.
Second, Marty Callahan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
On the vote, Mr. Trotter,
yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Ms. Pavrocki,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci. Felix?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Ron votes yes. That motion is carried.
So the only other item, I apologize, is not on the agenda, but I did want to add it. I got an email late last night. United Meats is requesting an extension to their completion date. They're still having some issues. Some work was done, but it wasn't done to what they actually need. So they have to have that removed and new put in. So they didn't give me a date. Let me just see if he's emailed since we've been in this meeting. He hasn't. So he didn't give me a date of how much longer it's going to take, but I think his completion date actually expires and his sales tax expires at the end of this month. So I think that we should probably extend both the sales tax and the completion date, or at least give me that authority, because I don't know exactly what he's going to need. Howard, what are your thoughts?
Can I make a suggestion that you allow Lisa to do so up to 6 months? This gentleman, from what I understand, has run into problem after problem. So, after, and he hasn't, as Lisa said, she only heard from him last night, and he hasn't responded to her questions this morning yet, from what I understand, which I can understand that too. So once she learns what his difficulties are and how much time he needs, then allow her the latitude to provide the time that he needs. And if it's up, I would say up to 6 months, which should be adequate, but that's what I would suggest.
Then I need a resolution to extend the completion date to June 30th, 2020.
So moved. Gary Polakowski.
Thank you, Gary. Second.
Second, Lenore.
Thank you. On the vote, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Ms. Pavrocki,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter.
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes. The motion is carried.
Thank you, everybody. I don't have anything else on the agenda.
Lisa, I'm going to have to pop off now. I've got to.
Thanks, Gary.
Perfect timing,
I
Gary.
appreciate it.
Gary,
Thank you.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Thank you all.
Merry
Have a
Christmas.
great
Happy holidays,
holiday, guys.
everybody.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas, happy holidays,
Does
everybody.
anybody have anything else?
Need a
Take
motion?
care,
to
Gary.
adjourn?
Have a good holiday.
The motion to adjourn while we still have a quorum?
So moved.
Whoops, second.
On the vote, whoever's left, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Pavrocki,
Yes.
Gary's left, Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Mr. Braun votes yes. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Are we having
Merry
an
Christmas,
LDC
Happy
meeting?
Holidays, Happy New Year, everybody.
Christmas.
Is there an LDC meeting?
No, sir.
No.
Okay.
We'll see you in
Goodbye,
January.
everyone. Have a very Merry Christmas.
See you next
Merry
year,
Christmas.
guys.
Christmas,
Thank you,
everyone.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas, everyone.
Bye, everybody.